Welcome to the Feargiveness Frequency Pop of Color podcast, where we wrap you in a hug and bring you into our powwow to receive divine messages directly from God, Source Creator. The divine messages have just been flowing in, and it's just so much that it finally, Source said, okay, I need you to start taking notes. And for me, it's voice notes. So here is the information that has been coming through. That it's little breadcrumbs and then toast and then a full loaf of bread. It's a very childlike wonderment of the energy that's coming through. And these are powwows that are directly with God, Source energy. The Divine Father and Mother are there as we are transitioning from this collective into unity and oneness. And so the first and foremost is imagine not having a schedule, not having a to-do list. Every day you wake up, you walk outside barefoot, you stand as the sun is rising, as the Divine Mother wraps you in this hug. And right above you, the skies are opening, changing colors, just vibrant oranges and reds and pinks are coming through that beautiful sunrise. Like imagine the most beautiful sunrise you've ever seen. Whether the sun's coming up over a mountain range, maybe it's coming up over the water. That is the essence that you're standing in. You're receiving the gamma rays that are coming from the sun. So you're really being wrapped in a hug from the Divine Father and the Divine Mother. And everything else around you is source, it's energy, it's the universe, it's the cosmos. So this powwow, when you step within your forgiveness frequency, your infinity loop of eternity, infinity that holds all of your past, present, and future, your complete soul blueprint, what you've signed up to be a part of in this now moment. And within that, it has all of your ancient gifts, all of your ancient wisdom, everything that you've brought as the keys and codes for this moment to be unlocked. So that's all within your infinity loop. And when you find the moments of soul connection through your higher self into this powwow with the Divine Father, Mother, God, Source, utilizing your intuitive channel, stepping in through the Akashic records gets you there quicker because it raises your vibration to such a high frequency. So you're in there, you're wrapped in this powwow, you're wrapped in this hug, and all of this information is flowing through you as you sit in the center. Your infinity loop is just bringing in all this information. And new downloads are coming in, new information is coming in for every single time you step in here. So your infinity loop is just massive with the amount of energy and frequency. And the more that you raise it, the quicker it's vibrating, the higher some can call it a Merkaba, but the higher your frequency and vibration continues to keep getting raised. So you've spent this time gathering information, doing your pillow research, allowing these downloads to come in. You've been absorbing all the information. You may go on social media and you have very connected vibe tribe, those that you vibrate with and you connect with, and you get confirmations and clarity on the information you're receiving based on others that you follow. So there's this beautiful network of information flowing to you and through you. Ultimately, you've heard from the very beginning of your ascension journey, everything is found within. You hold the entire universe within you. Every question, every answer to every question is within you. All you have to do is ask and trust in the knowing, trust in the receiving messages coming from the divine, from God, from source. And when you do that and you trust in those messages that are coming to you and through you, you expand. And so you're giving all these little tiny breadcrumbs. This is how it's been shown to me. And at one point I felt like we were Dr. Seuss. If you didn't have a schedule, and I'll just keep probably looping back through based on how it's flowing to me. So if you didn't have a schedule, and you woke up every day, you stood barefoot on the grass, you stepped into your powwow and your hug, and you asked the question, how may I serve? You're in surrender and service. How may I serve you today, Divine Father, Mother, God? In what ways can I be of the biggest service to you and to the collective? And you will receive the information. And you will, as long as you do whatever is given to you. Some days it's just to be, some days it's just to rest, other days it's to take action, dance in the rain, get your hands dirty, get into, maybe it's gardening in the Mother Earth, whatever that direction that's given to you in your powwow. Would you do it? If you didn't have any schedule, if you know that you are always taking care of the abundance and energy is flowing through that keeps you fed, your bills paid, all of that. So all of frequency is the new currency. So if you knew that your entire life is taken care of, and you trust in that and believe in that everything is for your highest good and everything will be handled by God, would you do whatever you were given that day? Would you not have a schedule? Would you, what's the word? I'm like in the book, and the book is kind of rolling through all the could you, would yous of Dr. Seuss. So you are given this schedule of whatever comes, whatever you're given is what you do. That's the steps, that's the trust, that's the surrender, that is the service that you provide to yourself. And maybe it's self-love and self-care, maybe it's just napping, maybe it is literally going back to bed. Whatever that's given to you. And then some days you're just go with the flow, be present. Okay, so what does that look like for you? What does a be present day look like for you? What does go with the flow look like for you with no schedule? And I understand that for some that you have your children and school schedules and work and all those things. Would you be able to go with the flow throughout the day, regardless of where you need to be and what obligations that you have? Would you be present? And what does that look like? Could you be in childlike wonderment for one day? And what does that look like? Maybe it's a day that you say yes to everything for your children. Would you dance in the rain? So if you're asked the next time that it rains, you step outside, you let those drops hit you, you dance, you sing. Would you? So these breadcrumbs are given. And every time you follow one of those breadcrumbs, every time that you are in full surrender and service, you're giving yourself over and you're doing whatever you're asked to do, that you spend that day being present. You spend that day in the flow, whatever that looks like. You spend that day, the minute you see that it's sprinkling or raining outside, you go barefoot and you dance in the rain. So when you get these breadcrumbs and you're given them and you accept them with such grace, like it's the last meal you've had, or you're breaking your fast, it's the first morsel of food that's touching your mouth, that you're getting these breadcrumbs with such gratitude, and you're doing it. And then the breadcrumbs turn into toast. And some days it's toast with cinnamon sugar. Some days it's buttery toast. Some days it's toast with a ton of great nutrients, or maybe it's like seed bread. Like every day it's something different, but you're getting a little bit bigger piece of the loaf. And then as you continue to do that, you get the whole loaf. And then you're like, oh my gosh, what do I do with this amazing loaf of, let's say, sourdough bread, uh, or, seed bread, or just homemade bread that just smell the taste of homemade bread? Well, what do you do with the whole loaf? Well, you share it. So this, the codes and keys and colors that we're given throughout this whole process that are running within our infinity loop, all of these little tiny breadcrumbs that equal up to these yummy pieces of toast, that equal up to this loaf of bread. When you get to the loaf of bread, when you have all of that divine messaging and energy coming through, that is when you know it's time to share. And you share that with your loved ones. You share that with your vibe tribe. You share that in whichever way you are guided to share. So this is kind of leading us up to this moment where, for those who are receiving breadcrumbs, receiving toast, or receiving those loaves, wherever you are in your journey, as we step into September, these journeys are changing. So it is so vital to acknowledge where you are, celebrate in those breadcrumbs, toast, or loaves, celebrate how far you've come from when you weren't getting any breadcrumbs, that you were, asking the universe for help and support, and you didn't know that you weren't alone, or you felt alone. From that moment of your spiritual journey or your ascension journey starting until now, this is that time where we really need to sit within gratitude. And for me, it's gets gratitude elevates truth. That's how it's come through from God's source. That when you sit within your gets and you boomerang out all of your gratitude out there into the world, it comes back to you with love, light, more breadcrumbs, more loaves, more pieces of toast. So we're being asked in this transitional period, because the shifts are going to be occurring so quickly, and there's like these waves. And the last message it gave me, just kind of a breadcrumb, that drop, that we're all one drop within the ocean of God, of source, and that our drop will start to merge with others and will become oneness. And within that oneness, we will be standing in full surrender and service, and God's source consciousness is flowing through us. There's this beautiful merge of the Hieros Gamos. I don't know if I say that right, but it's a sacred marriage and union of the divine feminine and masculine within you. This is a twin flame within you. Everything is coming back, that everything is within. We keep hearing that through our ascension journey, but we're still seeking validation, clarity, and from the outside world, because we're either not trusting ourselves, or we like the confirmations. I love when I get synchronicities and confirmations. It just kind of keeps me pushing forward. As we sit in this celebratory and gratitude for how far we've come, and really acknowledge that we're not the same person that we started, and how much we love this person, our self-love, our self-acceptance, our lack of judgment, our full surrender and service, the love, just the purity of who we are standing in this moment. And we sit in that center of that infinity loop with all of this goodness running through it as it runs through us. And we know ourselves, the confidence, the personal power, just that we know that we are of divine consciousness. We are God's source, and we're living out our soul blueprint in this now moment. and that's a conscious uh, Christ blueprint. Recently, the Holy Christed Child and Holy Spirit has made themselves very apparent within our powwows. In addition to a lot of the galactical leadership has been coming through as we are transitioning into September. So, what is this loaf of bread that I've recently received for what we are transitioning into is fully embodying the oneness within that. And what is going to happen is that we will lose the ability to receive or have the outside connection that we rely so heavily on now for clarity, confirmations, or answers from without. So the way it doesn't say exactly how, or doesn't show exactly how that's going to happen, but I know many within my vibe tribe has been um, being asked to step away from their phones and from TV and any programming, social media, by putting EMF stickers on all of their devices within their homes and having this disconnection from this outside interference so we could receive more messages from the inside. That has been happening in baby steps, breadcrumbs and big pieces of toast. For some, they're locking their phones away or they're literally turning off their phones. And I've been asked to turn off my phone physically, especially in those morning sunrises, uh, and or not bring my phone with me, and even turn my phone off and not bring it with me. Or if I'm doing a Reiki sessions, I've been asked to Reiki the phone as well. Uh, so we've been giving these little breadcrumbs, and if we're, could you, would you, if you're asked to do something, would you do it? Could you do it? And giving ourselves that time away from social media, from TV, from any type of out external programming, so we can have, there's no interference to the messages that are coming through, and those messages are coming through your channel, they're coming through your powwows, and you're trusting and receiving in the information that you're trusting in the information that you're receiving. That has been building within the collective and those that I am connected with. And then this trust aspect has been so huge. And it's so neat to see how many of us are standing in that full trust and eliminating those things, and then realizing, I didn't really need, the binge watch my Netflix. Or when you step away from it, you realize that how much programming is within you because of those connections. Or if you looked at your phone, if you looked at your settings on your phone to see how long you were on TikTok for the day or on social media, you'll see that you might have hours that were missed on being physically present based on that. So these little breadcrumbs are leading us up to separating us from those devices and from those connections. And that's also, though, asking us to separate from where we're getting that maybe clarity or the outside answers to questions that we might have, or even confirmations. So we are solely trusting in the information that's coming through our channel. As we transition into September and we are on this constant, so these waves are coming in, and they're going to be coming in within the next couple of days. So I was given really the 31st through the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, there will be this kind of wave of remembrance that's coming through. That if it's a darker remembrance of something in our past life, or even a collective, as we're clearing out that collective, finishing off that collective purge. And this is like to the core of the earth, to the edges of the cosmos. These clearings are happening, souls are being released. Um, any nefarious programming is really being washed away. The moment you step away from those things and you disassociate yourself or start to reprogram the neural pathways in your mind from social media or TV, you will, especially, I know many within our tribe has already stepped away from like the news and things like that, but it still has a way to find its way into your life. So as we start this transition, we may start to have this remembrance flow through, and many of our past lives or experiences beyond this earth may not have been pleasant, and the role that we played within them may have not been pleasant. We're not asked to dive any deeper into those. We're asked to feel it, release it, feel it, release it, feel it, transmute it, release it. And it's not to like necessarily even feel it, it's allow it to flow through you. You don't even have to sit in the feeling, it's just flow, transmute, alchemize, release. Flow, transmute, alchemize, release. So if you get these waves of remembrance of like, oh, wow, I did that. I was part of that group. I was part of the programming at one point, whatever that is for you. You may have taken lives in a past life, and that is why you are on this path to save every creature and animal and life that is around you. So it's okay that information and that knowledge is coming through, because within each of those lives you receive codes, keys that are going to help you and propel you forward. So as we're clearing all of these lower frequencies and vibrations of within our infinity loop, within our blueprint, we are all, that's also happening on a collective level. So we've been doing a ton of collective work. That collective work is going to start to lessen as we flow into September. And it's going to take a little bit of time, but it's going to really bring us back into oneness of ourselves, that we're not going to be taken in our sleep to do astro traveling, any planetary or grid work. That is almost done. Like the final pieces are at play. I want to say a month or so ago, I saw the planetary. I was in this kind of way station above the earth, and everyone was very, before in the times that I'd been there, everyone was in hustle and bustle mode. And this recent trip, it was, everyone is very lackadaisical, just kind of waiting for something to begin. And as you looked out at the planetary grid work and all of the light nodes, they were all one color, where before they weren't. And they were flowing. So it literally was like this rainbow kind of spider web that uh, is that all the light notes were coming on, and then all of these colors, these waves of colors, but they were all resonating this one beautiful color. And it wasn't a color I could grasp a color connection to. Um, it was like a shimmering diamond gold stardust. Ah, yes. It was kind of like this beautiful kind of stardust shimmering with rainbow light uh, weaved through it all. Thank you, Source. That was beautiful. So as we are moving from the collective into the self, into oneness, and that it's oneness with, we are all stepping into oneness with ourselves, with the universe, with God and Source, with the Divine Father and Mother. As we all step into and go within, we go within to become one with each other. So like our bubble burst, our drop within the ocean, there is no beginning or end of me personally. We are one. So as we do that and we finally release the outside world, and we will go within and have this moment where we've celebrated how far we've come to this point, and then we burst into being everyone and everything. And this is why we've been told we are one. We are one with, when we look at another, they are us, and vice versa. And that's what this next season, this next transition is going to bring us into. So for those that can do that on their own, you will be like holding this loaf of bread once you get inside. And normally your loaf of bread is to share it with everyone. Well, as we get, when you go within and you you have this loaf of bread, you are the loaf of bread, and everyone is together. Like we're all this loaf of bread. And this is where we will begin to co-create together in oneness, in unity. And we don't have to worry about necessarily the sharing aspect of it. It will just flow. And there will be something that will occur if we cannot do this on our own. So step into going within and separating out the uh, interferences that are within our lives that are creating anything that's creating interference for us to really have more moments in the day where we would you go within and have that powwow. If we can't do that on our own, it will be done for us. And then what I'm showing is that in those moments of oneness, in your powwows, without those interferences, do you know how? Do you have the treasure chest and toolkits, the sips and tricks? Do you have it all? Your toolbox, your treasure chest? Do you have everything you need for you to sustain your highest vibration without connection to anyone else but you? And that's a big one. Like that's a big one. That's really taking inventory now, and and whatever you'll have this few months. I feel like a few months is probably too big of a gap. September, October. You'll have until, okay, November 11th, 11/11. You will have until, so you'll have the next couple of months to fine tune your toolkit. So within the forgiveness frequency, it's called B jamming. So BJA, tons of M's, ING. And it is B, breath work and barefoot connection. J, journaling. That is through written voice, however you need to get the information out. This is a great place in the journaling aspect, is where you're sharing that loaf of bread. That's whether you're sharing that information with yourself or you're finding it in ways that you can share that information out. For me, it's putting together that coloring book for the Feargiveness Frequency, and creating that blueprint and story. So it's B jamming. So we have journal, or we have barefoot, breath work, journaling. The A is affirmations. So how do you speak to yourself? Or do you have a constant dialogue that you're recreating neural pathways in your mind based on the conversations that you're having with yourself? What's the temperature check on your uh, subconscious mind? How are you speaking to yourself? And have you really cleared through that negative self-talk and the acceptance and the self-love? So the affirmations are really, really important. They go hand in hand with mirror work, which is the first N. So sitting in front of the mirror and really having a conversation with your higher self every single day and really working through affirmations, through positive conversations, even journaling, all of that kind of that getting it out and getting it in. Then you go into the next M, which is meditation. So having that daily practice of powwows with God and Source and the Divine Father and Mother. Do you have that set within your day? And if not, would you? What does that look like? And if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, what does that look like? How often do you check in? If you open your Akashic records in the morning, are you constantly living in are you constantly living in the present? Are you bringing yourself into your intuitive channel as often as you possibly can? Then you go on to the next M, which is music. So music is a great way but this is expanding it beyond music. This isn't necessarily the music you hear or you turn on. That's an outside interference, though it's super helpful, like your Reiki music, your frequency music. But what if you didn't have that? Do you have the same tools and tricks within your toolkit and treasure chest to do sound chambers, ahms, or humming, or singing to yourself? Anything that creates that vibration. What does that look like? Do you spend time just ahming through the day, or humming, or creating sound chambers, or singing out loud? What does that look like for you, or what is in your toolkit and treasure chest for that? The next M is muscle movement. So our body keeps score. So what movements, whether that's yoga, I can't even think of the word, Tai Chi or the Tai Gong, whatever that movement uh, of grace and exercise, that whether that's just stretching, yoga. I have limited abilities when it comes to what that experience looks like. For me, it's on a pillow, horizontal on the grass outside, and I'm doing muscle movement. Our body keeps score. So cellular memory, muscle memory is within the body. We've got to be able to move our bodies in whatever form works best for you. And this is not excelling. This is not excessive exercise. This isn't running a marathon. This is being present in those moments of movement and really whatever energy is stuck within the body, or you're having pains or inflammation or ascension symptoms within certain areas. What are you doing? This is also self Reiki. And if you're not attuned to Reiki or Akashic Reiki, I would really encourage you to take the next couple of months. If it's something that's been like vibrating within your channel, oh, I really wish I was attuned to Reiki, or you're going to other people for Reiki or energy work, this is the time for you to this is where the mystery schools, from my last message, mystery schools are coming in during this time. This is the time for you to hone your treasure chest with all of the tools available for you to help you and those that are around you, that your family and children and those that you can support in your close vicinity, your vibe tribe. So with muscle movement, so we're at like the M's are the M&Ms. They can kind of go on. There's also mindfulness, and that's opening your intuitive, your channel, the Akashic records, staying consistently there for throughout the day as much as you possibly can, really keeping your powwow open the entire day if you can. And that's where it's the could you, would you? If you could have your power going every single day, what would that look like? When you were fully in your center at all times, what are things in your day that drop you out of your center? Is it your mind is reminiscing on something, you have so many thoughts going on? Well, the minute that happens, you drop out of your powwow. What could you do to constantly keep yourself kind of like that red string on your finger? Every time you look at it, it gives you that reminder. What is that reminder for you that allows you to stay within your intuitive channel in this powwow? Because that's where you're going to be fully protected. That's where you're going to be fully uh, integrated into oneness. That's where all your information is coming through. So, how can you, in mindfulness, how can you stay in your powwow for the maximum amount of time throughout the day? The ing uh, of the be jamming, the the I is the intuition. So that's again how can I utilize my intuition, my powwow and connection to source to align every aspect of my life so that I can be in the highest vibration in oneness with source at all times. The N is nature. So how much or how can I, could I, would I put myself in nature throughout the day, whether that's my barefoot sunrise, I put my feet on, going out midday. I try to catch the sunset, take my dogs for a walk or animals for a walk barefoot, have very intentional connections to nature, hug a tree, go on hikes, uh, however that looks like for you. Having all elements, so the earth, fire, water, air, space, I think I got them all. So having the elemental connections as well. And then G is gratitude. Oh, such a beautiful, my favorite one. And it's at the end because it's kind of this uh, breath work gratitude sandwich. It just kind of it brings the beginning to the middle and the end, kind of using our loaf of bread, bringing us into this beautiful sandwich of divine source. So, gratitude, there are multiple ways of getting grateful. The GET, gratitude elevates truth. So, we really are being asked to be grateful and get grateful. What are we grateful for? And we have in the Feargiveness Frequency in the coloring book, it is giving us the boomerang. So there are 3 or 4 different boomerangs within this frequency. You have the get boomerang, just gratitude. You're tossing out there, and that's the one that comes back to you in love, light, abundance. It brings your manifestations in line. It brings you more messages from Source and God. It's you just throwing it out there and being open to receive however it comes back to you. And that is the reciprocity of the giving and receiving. There's also other boomerangs within the healing journey. There's the bird boomerang. So once you've gotten to the end of healing through self forgiveness, self love, self acceptance, and gratitude, you've changed the narrative, you've upcycled the trauma or insecurity. These bird boomerangs, you throw them out there and you just allow, they get released and they get to fly. It's kind of like the eagle that's been in captivity. He had a broken wing and he's healed and he's let go to really just soar, which is beyond uh, the comprehension. I could just see, I'm just watching this eagle kind of flying out there with this healed wing. So you have the bird boomerangs that happen when healing happens. There's also hunter boomerangs, and this boomerang isn't one that's made to come back to you. It's one you throw out there to be released. It's for hunters when they use for killing their prey and bringing that back for nourishment. These hunter boomerangs, you have to go get this. It's kind of a walkabout to get this boomerang back. So when you get to gratitude, let's say you have one specific thing you're healing and you go through this bee jamming session. By the end of it, when you get to gratitude and you're doing the boomerangs or the hunter boomerangs or the just sitting in gratitude, you get to celebrate, and that really comes in like a pillow party. So that is my treasure chest that I utilize in many aspects of it. There's also the rainbow repeats that brings us back into alignment with our food and our intake, drinking in the rainbow. And every rhythm is a repeat. So we're just putting a rainbow on repeat. So there's so many, when you use that intuition and you align your entire life to within your powwow, miracles happen. So this treasure chest for you is going to be critical in going into the next few months. And if you don't have a treasure chest, or your treasure chest is not fine-tuned, or whether it's a treasure chest or a toolbox, some people it's a makeup bag or a purse, like however it works for you, whatever that is, making sure that you have all of the tricks and tips on the inside to really help you. And it's showing me that it's not only, let's find the words. Okay, so EMF or EFT, the emotional freedom technique, the tapping is another one. It's also showing me clapping. So this is utilizing the toolkit and expanding it to, it's kind of like your medicine cabinet. So I'm seeing essential oils, I'm seeing flowers. That's a big one. So flowers in your life, plants, gardening, those are all part of this toolkit or treasure chest. So clapping, laughing, humming, dancing. And this is like Reiki dancing. It's just kind of letting it all go. So sound bowls, but it's asking you to, how do you do it without the instrument? So that's the sound chambers, utilizing the Sound of Music scale, that utilizing that scale within you, and that will when you sit in surrender, it will show you how to utilize those sound chambers. And the breath work, it's multiple different breath work styles that can hit and do a lot of different things. It's the Akashic Reiki, in addition to those who may have Reiki, really finding ways to learn more about the Akashic records and Akashic Reiki, because that is the highest vibrational timeline and frequency available to us in this now moment. So however we can connect with that. And my biggest recommendation for you would be Akashic April. And she has courses that you can do on your own. She has this community this community membership that meets every single week. There's an entire course with that membership, and I think it's like $11 a month. It's so awesome. I would encourage you to, while you still have the ability to create a vibe tribe, I would reach out and I would seek her out for anything that you're looking for when it comes to the Akashic records and Akashic Reiki. Getting those attunements. I'm also given the emotion codes, and that's a huge one. It's been super successful for me since going through it in April, and having that skills and abilities of how to remove trapped emotions from yourself and from others, especially children. We covered laughing, dancing in the rain, water, any type of water being near it. You can Reiki your own pool. You can Reiki the water faucets that are coming out of your pool. I'm given the Healy scanner, which is a frequency scanner, that if it will be available, that is an amazing tool or treasure chest to have for you. It's called the Healy Frequency Scanner, and that one I've been using for the past 3 or 4 years. 3 years. What else? What else? What else is coming through? Art, color, of course. How did I miss color? That's not only just art, it's also any expression of art that is for you. So it could be the physical, all the dimensions of different type of arts and styles. It could be sewing, it could be knitting, it could be cooking, it could be if you propagate plants, and that is like you find so much joy in that, that is art in itself. So there's so many different, it's any intuitively connected, creative outlet that you have. These shifts are big, these shifts are grand, but they are all in such, wrapped in such a beautiful hug of oneness and expansion of everything we're going to be transitioning into. Just oneness. Like, I just can't even wrap my head around it. But that is what we're being asked of for the next couple of months, or this is the information that is being brought through my channel at this moment. This doesn't mean the world shuts down in any way, shape, or form. It just allows you to step into the truth and live your truth forward. So if your loaf of bread is received and you've done all this other work and you're within, to trust that loaf of bread and find ways to share that out with the world. And those that are meant to eat from your loaf of bread will find you. And it's going to be effortless as long as you continue to put effortlessness in all that you do. The divine messages have just been flowing in, and it's just so much that it finally, Source said, okay, I need you